Hello everyone, welcome back to another art time lapse. Today I am doing a piece called Small Starts. It's inspired by Studio Ghibli's various movies, in particular like May from Totoro as well as Ponyo. So I didn't really have a clear direction what I wanted to do in the start, but I knew it was going to be a nature scene and I want lots of greeneries, and I want to incorporate some like characters that I love from Studio Ghibli. It's kind of like my kind of happy place if I want to paint and draw. So here you can see I started with the characters in the bottom left corner. However, I do find that the characters are a little bit larger than I would normally like, or is normally my style, but you know what, I just went along with it. And then I was kind of contemplating about what color flowers I would like depending on the color scheme I wanted to do for the characters. You can see I went over and started drawing the flowers right away to match the raincoat for one of the characters, but obviously later on I didn't really love it, so I went back and colored over it. So the great thing about Acryl Gouache is that you can always color over what you don't like. It's kind of like acrylic because it's quite opaque, so I really like that about this particular medium. One of the reasons I'm documenting my process is to show you that like not everything comes out perfect the first time, but that's perfectly okay. And I also want to show you the process that like it takes a while to get to where you want it to be. I think a lot of times we focus so much on the end product, on how beautiful the artwork is, that we forget the process of like where the idea came from, how the execution came to be. So for this piece I've documented from the beginning to the end, so you can see like in the beginning it didn't look anything like where you thought it would be. So here, like the characters, I was not happy at this point when I was painting. Let me reiterate that the characters are a bit too large in my opinion, so like I wasn't happy with it. But you know, I pushed forward because a lot of times like for drawings you just have to push forward these awkward, uncomfortable moments to find like a new space, a new place. Maybe like there is something new to be learned on every single piece. So I try to push myself through that comfort zone, even though it wasn't perfect. But I figure, you know what, like what's the worst that can happen? Like I do spend a lot of time on this, but like I have paint, I have paper, so let's just go ahead and push through it. So here you can see I wanted to have a Ponyo piece, but I wanted to be a kind of like a fusion piece of another Studio Ghibli character, which I found May is like the perfect age. And I imagine if they were in the same village or same city, they would have so much fun together. And with my kids right now, I always think about like how things start so small, but like I'm just so curious and so happy at how like things can grow so quickly for them and they learn so quickly. So like, and everything just starts somewhere and we all start small. Like Leonardo da Vinci was an amazing artist to begin with, but he experimented, he practiced, and that's what I want this piece to convey. I want this piece to convey the fact and the idea that we all start somewhere, we all start small. Regardless of what you do, whether it is a craft or like if it's like a skill set, or maybe even just helping people, like even small people, small acts of kindness can really add up quite a bit. So here you can see Ponyo actually has a green bucket that I'll highlight later on, and there will be a splash of water coming out, and there will be a mini like Ponyo brother, sister, sibling in the water kind of that runs adjacent to that log that they're standing on. I imagine like maybe Ponyo just went on an adventure with their friends, maybe brought her sibling along. I'm not sure, but like that's kind of the vein that I'm going from when I started drawing this piece. So you can see just speeding things up. At this point, I think I've been spending like close to 2.5 weeks, maybe like 3.5 weeks on a piece. Now that's not like full days every day. Usually I paint for maybe 1 or 2 hours maximum per weekend, so it adds up. I try to maximize my time as much as I can by planning ahead whenever I have a spare moment. A lot of people ask me like, how do you find time to paint? Like I just do. I make time. I don't try to find time. So every bit of time is really helpful, especially like now with two little ones, like it's even busier. So every little bit of time is helpful. Whenever I have time to paint, I usually don't spend too much time brainstorming, because I would have brainstormed. I knew what I want to paint, like done some research on the topic way ahead of time. So usually that time is from, let's say if I'm waiting for a bus stop, or like I'm waiting for water to boil, I don't know, like every snippet of time, it was like a minute, 2 minute, 3 minute there. Every time I have time, I would have, let's say, my Pinterest board, or like start taking notes of things that I want to do, so that like when I actually have that chunk of time, I'm not searching and thinking about, okay, what do I need, what I'm gonna draw. And like bit by bit I also get my paint ready. So I have my art table in my living space that I already have like all of my supplies, my paintbrushes, my paint, and my like water container. Everything is ready there, so that whenever I have time, I just walk towards it and start painting. These are little steps that I found like are good to kind of remove these potential barriers of like, I don't know what I'm gonna paint, or I don't have my supplies ready, or by the time I have the supplies ready, I just don't have time anymore. So I'm trying to create these mini steps to facilitate the process. Don't know if it works for everyone, but I thought I'll share it with you in case you also have time, or having difficult time trying to get started with painting and just don't find the time. The great thing about acrylic gouache is that like, unlike watercolor, I can go back to it when it's dry, and like I can just paint over it. There's just so much flexibility with the medium that I'm really glad I accidentally stumbled upon it. So here I'm just gonna show you the rest of my process as I slowly paint away at this piece. I think it did come together near the end. It wasn't like how I envisioned it starting, and I think partially is because I didn't have a clear idea what I wanted to paint. But once I had an idea, I'm like, I want it to be a theme around starting small, and then like how you can do big things even when you're not a very big person. And after that, like the piece just naturally came out. So here I was debating about what flowers I want to add. I thought it would be really beautiful, these yellow hanging flowers, that they're almost like in a secret hideaway. Is it like a secret? I'm not sure, but like it was very therapeutic, kind of doing all of these little details. And here just slowing down, showing you how it looks like when I actually paint the flowers, and speeding it up again, just adding those strings of flowers was just so therapeutic, because it was just coming together. I was so glad it was working out. If you're still following along in this YouTube video at this point, I appreciate it very much if you consider giving this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel, because it'll really help a lot in spreading the word about my art process, and just some of my other YouTube videos with reviews, as well as like step-by-step videos teaching kids how to paint. It really helped a long way for my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for considering. So I'm just gonna let you watch as I slowly finish up the process for painting this art time lapse. So here is the final piece. I didn't get a chance to document me adding on the white outline as well as the gradient I added with oil pencils, but here is the final piece of the Studio Ghibli fan art called Small Starts. I hope you enjoyed this art time lapse, and thank you for following along in my artist journey. Hopefully I will see you in future YouTube videos. Take care and stay creative, everyone. Bye for now.